Hello, loves. Okay, so I just got out the shower and I wanted to talk about the five things, some of the five things. Okay, there's many, many things, but today we're going to talk about five things that people do not talk about, that I have not seen anyone anywhere on YouTube talk about job searching in China. Okay, I have been job searching here for about the past 2 months, and I have signed a contract with a job, but they're making me mad. They are making me very, very mad. And so it's just really reminding me of the struggles that it takes to get a job here. Honestly, just like, yeah, moving to China is not for the weak. So I wanted to give the tips that I could because I feel like there is just not a lot of updated information on YouTube. So, yeah, I wanted to share what I can. So, number one, this one mostly affects you if you're not white, honestly. Um, but yeah, just no one prepares you for the anxiety that you feel with putting your information out there, putting your resume out there, putting your intro video out there to like 10 recruiters a day, cold emails, blah, 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 blah. And just getting that like message that they send that's just like, well received, or thank you for sending, you know? And obviously, like I said, I know that job searching everywhere is like tough right now, but I think it's just like a special sort of feeling because to apply for jobs in China, at least for teaching jobs, you are essentially adding a bunch of random people, agents, recruiters to your phone. You're basically giving them your phone contact and they do the job searching for you. So you can like look up, jobs on like China cities or whatever, but a lot of those jobs aren't actually real. They're just so that way you get connected with recruiters who have the real jobs and they sort of find jobs for you. So it's like you have an agent, but you also have like 30 agents, and you have to have that many because some will ghost you, some will just appear out of nowhere and be like, "Oh, how's this?" And you're like, "No," and then they're like, "Okay," and then they just go off again for another 5 to 10 days. Like, it is, it's such a, I would say, if you are an introvert or otherwise someone who like does not like texting people, it is going to be hard. It is going to be hard. Again, obviously in the US too, applying for a job is a full-time job, but with that it's different because it's in the US you're kind of sending your resume out there, but with this it's like you're talking to people, which it feels better to me because it's like at least I get to talk to someone. It's kind of really discouraging when you're on Indeed and you're just answering surveys that you're not sure anybody will ever read. But it's like a different social energy. So that is something you have to be prepared for. It's just like how much talking you will have to do and how much of the same questions you will have to answer. And then if you are not white, you will have to also handle being told straight up to your face, like, sorry, they don't hire, you're not white, basically. They only want white people. And yeah, I guess this goes into number two. The image that the school has matters extremely a lot. So again, if you're not white, if you have piercings or other body modifications, like I've had to take these out. At first I didn't take my piercings out when I made my intro video because I was like, well, I see white people have their tattoos and all this other stuff, and I was not getting any responses back until someone had mentioned like, hey, can you record this without that? And I was like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I guess. And that's when I started getting more responses. So if you have piercings, anything that would not be seen as professional, like even if it's something that is being accepted more in our culture in the US, like just take it out. Like I have some tattoos. You might want to, invest in some good concealer, or laser remover surgery that is probably you can find cheap here maybe. Um, and yeah, otherwise it is going to be hard for you because it's to the point where they like schools would rather hire non-native speakers with like heavy accents than that don't speak, that would not be the best at teaching English, just because they're white, and that's because that's what the parents want to see, and that's what the parents will pay for. And this is not to say that I feel like people who are not native speakers can teach English. That's not to say that they can't. I'm just saying that they don't care. There's a lot of schools that do not care about your qualification. All they want is they'll say good image or um, white female or white male or white non-native or whatever. So you just have to be prepared for that. Number three, when you graduate matters. I have not heard people talk about this, but so for example, I have a lot of, I would say, teaching experience, tutoring experience, but it pretty much all of it happened before I finished graduating college. And so in China, in the Chinese government's eyes, I do not have experience. Your experience starts after you graduate college. So this is the same thing if you're applying for a work visa in China, pretty much all of them you have to have 2 years related experience. If you're doing teaching English, then you can get away with it in I would say a lot of cities by having a TOEFL degree, but I will also get into why that is also not enough these days. But what I will say is, yeah. But in certain provinces, such as Zhejiang province, which has Hangzhou, Ningbo, I think Shanghai's its own province. But anyways, there are certain provinces where you need to have 2 years post graduation experience, and you need to be able to get a letter from HR to prove that. So even if it's freelance, it might not count. So that is something to be aware of, and it can count against you. And so something else, like I mentioned before, is how TOEFL is really not enough these days. Yes, you can get a job with TOEFL experience, with just TOEFL, especially if you're white. But with the relatively recent law changes and the double reduction policy, there is the level of entry jobs is really shrinking. And it is not the same China where you could apply to any place and get a job anymore. There are a lot of more places that are requiring you to have a teaching license, so a PGCE, or a US teaching license, or again 2 years postgraduate experience, maybe even an ILT degree, or IB degree, just a bunch of other things. And if you want to be working at, people call it real schools, but if you want to be working at schools where they care less about their image and more about the quality of the education that the students get, then those are going to be the schools that require you to have a master's or a teaching license, etc. And so, yeah, I think that, this was definitely a rude awakening for me, and I have since started going back to school online to prepare to get my teaching license. So that is something that I'm doing. I'm doing a 9-month program in order to be prepared for the next year when, if I switch my job, that I will be able to get paid more. And if anything happens with the government, if more training centers get shut down, a lot of kindergartens are shutting down from lack of enrollment, that I can be a competitive candidate. So that is something that I would recommend if you can. Obviously, it's it's another expense. But there are definitely online degrees. There's online schools that take FAFSA. There are, I would look into this. I have heard that if you maybe do some teaching in your where you are right now, you can get on an accelerated track to a teaching license if you're in the US and if it's a certain like school district that supports that. So for example, you could maybe teach for a semester or have that on your resume and have an accelerated track to a teaching license. So that could be a way to sort of prepare, save money, work things out. And I guess number five, number five for tonight is just that you have to to be in China, to job search in China, doing anything in China, you got to be resourceful. You have to have thick skin, and you have to have extreme determination. That's why I have this little tapestry above my bed. I got it, and it says, "Let's try once again," and it's just like moving to China is not for the weak. It can be extremely draining and overwhelming, and I frequently, I would say at least once a week, I'm, why didn't I just move to Thailand like every other Black person? Why did I do this to myself? Like, for example, I have a partner that I love and loves me and was not able to move to China with me. We both visited together, but it was just too much for them. Our first few days in China, it was so overwhelming, just like not being able to pay for anything, not being able to, you know, it's a story. It's honestly a story, and I will explain the things that you need to set up before you come to China, so that way you do not end up in the situations that we were in. But all I'm gonna say is, yeah, the main reason I'm in China is because it is my dream. Otherwise, I probably would pick an easier place. I love China. There's so much here that makes me feel like I can build a stable life and a promising life in a way that I did not feel like I could do at home in the US. But it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And I think that that's why it's so important to be putting out information for other people to be able to prepare for themselves, because it is a lot. It's very expensive. It is expensive. It's a huge leap to move to another country. And so if my videos can help you to be like, actually, I don't want to deal with that. Obviously, of course, make your own decisions, do your own research, don't just take someone on YouTube's recommendation of like, this place is a dream or this place sucks and that's why you should do this or not do this. I just want to be able to give information, and you can make your own choices based off of the things that you can work around and the things that are just non-negotiables for you. Yeah, okay, not to plug, but if you want, I also am doing consultations just to help people learn from my experience, my trials and tribulations, the things to do, the things not to do, in order to have a successful job search, or in order to ask questions and realize maybe this is not something that is for me. That way, before you come here and you're like crying on the phone to your mom, having an existential crisis. I can help answer questions like how you can land jobs quicker, what type of jobs you should take. I can read over your contracts and provide some advice. I can connect you with recruiters that have helped me, so recruiters that aka work with Black people, and just other unique advice for your situation. So if you're interested, link is down below. And yeah, I hope that y'all are feeling okay in this full moon energy. I definitely feel riled up, and so that's why I'm glad that I could just make this video to get some of this frustration and anxiety off my chest. But yeah, if you don't know, I'm Ebony, and I'm doing a 60-day posting challenge here on YouTube. So hopefully I will see you tomorrow.